Picture this. It's the summer of 1518 in Strasbourg, a bustling town in what is now modern-day France. People are trading in the market square, children are playing, and the occasional town crier shouts the news of the day. Suddenly, in the middle of this peaceful setting, a woman named Frau Trophia begins to dance. But this isn't joyful dancing, nor is it graceful. It's wild, uncontrolled, almost frantic. Little does anyone know, this bizarre dance is just the beginning of one of history's strangest events, a phenomenon that spirals into chaos. Over the next few weeks, hundreds of townsfolk join in this compulsive, exhausting dance. No one can stop until they drop. On a warm day in July, Frau Trophia's dance seemed like a passing oddity, maybe just a woman having a strange moment in the marketplace. But when she danced well into the night, and even the next day, locals began to murmur. Days passed, and the woman danced on, never pausing for food, drink, or sleep. It wasn't long before others joined her, one by one, two by two. What made people join in? Was it fear, hysteria, or something stranger? By the end of a week, there were dozens of dancers, and by August, the numbers swelled to over 400. This wasn't just a local oddity anymore. It was a crisis. As the numbers grew, town leaders panicked. People were collapsing, getting injured, even dying from exhaustion. Some accounts say a few dancers suffered heart attacks or strokes. The community was desperate for answers. In an era where science wasn't widely understood, authorities turned to religion and local customs to solve the problem. Officials decided that the best solution was more dancing. They believed the afflicted townsfolk needed to dance the plague out. They even built a stage, hired musicians, and invited onlookers to help. Ironically, this response only made things worse. Imagine it, hundreds of people dancing against their will, driven by an invisible force, surrounded by curious onlookers and the eerie sounds of musicians who hoped this odd cure would work. Instead, the dancers just kept going until they fell. Today, the dancing plague remains a mystery. Historians and scientists alike have tried to explain it, but no theory is without its gaps. Here are some of the leading ideas. One popular theory is ergot poisoning. Ergot is a toxic mold that can grow on rye, a common ingredient in bread. Consuming it can cause hallucinations, spasms, and strange behavior. Imagine the symptoms of LSD, only unintentional and terrifying. But would ergot really cause hundreds of people to dance for days on end? Many experts argue it doesn't add up. Ergot causes convulsions, but it doesn't usually lead to coordinated movement or communal activities. If anything, those affected would have been too ill to stand, let alone dance. Another leading theory is mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where intense emotions spread rapidly within a group. Life was incredibly tough in 1518. The region had been hit by famine, disease, and severe religious oppression. Fear and anxiety could have reached a breaking point, and in a society steeped in religious superstition, this could manifest as something like a dancing plague. Could the dancing plague have been a desperate reaction to unbearable stress? A subconscious escape from a harsh reality? It's possible, but again, why dancing? Why for days on end? Finally, some researchers believe that cultural factors played a significant role. The townsfolk were religious and deeply superstitious. They believed in saints who could inflict or cure plagues. One particularly feared figure, Saint Vitus, was thought to have the power to make sinners dance uncontrollably. When people started to dance, onlookers might have genuinely believed they were witnessing divine punishment. Fearful of this curse, some joined in the dancing, thinking it would save them from the same fate. In a society where religious fervor ruled, such a reaction may not be so far-fetched. By September, the outbreak finally subsided. We don't know exactly how, but some records mention that local authorities tried a different approach, taking dancers to a shrine, praying for their recovery, and banning all music and dancing within the town for several weeks. The town returned to normal, but the haunting memory lingered. The dancing plague left more than just a story behind. People lost their lives, families were traumatized, and the town of Strasbourg became synonymous with one of history's most bizarre plagues. And yet, even today, no one can truly say what caused it. Since then, cases of uncontrollable dancing have popped up in history books, a few times in Switzerland, Belgium, and Germany, but none on the scale of Strasbourg. The dancing plague of 1518 remains an unsolved puzzle. Could it happen again? Psychologists have noted that mass hysteria and cultural expectations can still have strange effects on communities, especially under stress. Whether it's laughing fits, fainting spells, or social media trends, human psychology is full of surprises. But a full-blown dancing plague? Let's hope not. It's worth noting the role of religious leaders during this time. They wielded incredible influence and believed that afflictions like the dancing plague were punishments for sin. They turned to saints and prayer rituals for solutions, seeing the event as divine intervention. In some ways, their belief in supernatural forces may have intensified the outbreak. The clergy's actions demonstrate how deeply held beliefs can shape events. The priest's response added a layer of tension and, possibly, fear, belief itself becoming part of the plague. It's a stark reminder of how powerful faith and suggestion can be, especially when faced with the unknown. The dancing plague of 1518 reminds us that history can be stranger than fiction. From ergot poisoning to mass hysteria and the power of cultural belief, the mystery continues to baffle historians, scientists, and psychologists alike. Maybe that's why we're drawn to stories like these, stories that blend the ordinary with the bizarre, the tragic with the mysterious. It's a story that captures our fascination with the human mind and our need to understand the strange things that history leaves behind. So, what do you think? Was it madness, poison, or perhaps something else? Tell us your theory in the comments. And if you're intrigued by history's unsolved mysteries, be sure to hit subscribe for more videos just like this one.